Anthony, Noreen, you get the call. You're the next coach of the Miami Redhawks. What's the emotions that went on?
I mean, obviously it was a thrill.
Yeah.
I don't want to downplay that. And everyone's like, are you excited? But the way my mind works and just my mental makeup, it was like, all right, let's go. Like it immediately went to like, okay, I got to get the right people in the right seats. I got to figure out staff. I got to figure out players. I got to get recruiting. The portal's open. I got to, that's just the way that I work. So I really haven't. It's been a dream job of mine for a long time. Has it set in? Absolutely not. Will it ever? I don't know. That's just really not the way I think or operate. But am I excited and am I thrilled and is it an honor? Absolutely.
You say it's a dream job. There's so much history here. Recently, not so much. Only one conference win last year. You have so much you have to do. How do you figure out where to start?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for me, I've been in similar situations. I went into a Youngstown team that had never made the playoffs in the USHL. I came into Stevens Point, my alma mater, after its worst season, I think, in 20 years. And I came into my previous head coaching job off a last place finish. And to me, where it starts, and again, you take a little bit from each stop. But for me, where it starts is get the right people in the right seats. Get the right people in the coach's room. Guys that are going to be teachers, guys that are going to support these guys, the guys that are going to hold them accountable, but the right people for where we eventually want to get. And then equally as important, get the right people in the locker room. That doesn't necessarily always mean the best players, the right guys. The guys that are going to have the discipline to keep showing up, to do things right, to represent this, as you know, extremely storied, proud program, not just on the ice, but on campus and in the community and how they interact with each other and in their classmates. That's number one. And then we could worry about, style of play and things like that, where you're going to live. But right now it's getting the right people. And obviously that's an ever-changing thing. I'm trying to work the transfer portal. I'm trying to, get FaceTime with the current staff, FaceTime with the current players, lay out my expectations for everybody and realize that, listen, certain guys might not be for me. I might not be for certain guys. That's okay. And let's just, again, focus on the people right now.
Every hockey coach, make that coach. Discipline is always a big buzzword. So everyone wants to do it, but they haven't been able to be successful here with it recently. Why is this going to be different?
Yeah, and I don't think recently, listen, I've got a ton of respect for the people that have come before me. Alumni, guys that have put in time as coaches, players. I don't think it was for lack of try or want. I think there certainly needs to be, again, I wasn't here, I didn't live it. I just know what my standard is for how you operate every day. And the reason I use the word discipline is because every guy, I could go in and give a rah-rah speech and every guy's going to run through the wall and practice one, workout one, the home opener. Of course, guys are going to be excited and ready to go. To me, discipline is to do that when maybe you don't feel as good, when maybe you're banged up a little bit, when maybe you're tired, maybe you're coming off a tough game, maybe coach yelled at you, maybe there's something going on in your personal life, you're overloaded with school. To me, discipline is to just keep showing up and doing it right. Do it when you're supposed to, do it at a level you're supposed to, that you're capable of, and do it because there's other guys counting on you. And again, there's nothing against the group that came here before. I think what I need to do is learn. What did they do? Where maybe they could get better? What did they do that, hey, that was really good and the guys and the people here liked it? Let's continue doing that. But also, there's got to be areas where it can improve. We've got to be able to start getting some higher end players here. That starts with me being out and being present and selling this place. You said it. You look around this building, you walk around this place, there's a lot to sell. And for me, it's getting out, making those relationships, using relationships I already have, but building trust with the player pool and with upcoming players that, this just isn't a place to come be a student athlete and reach your goals. Like, I want this to be the place where, like, hey, I want to play in the NHL and I want to get a great degree and I want to have the time of my life. Like Miami University, like, that's the place I have to go. That's my ultimate goal here.
Selling this place, getting the better players. It's been 15 years since those Frozen Four runs. You're going up where you are geographically against Big Ten country. You're trying to go for the same players as Hockey East. How do you sell this place to make those players want to come here as opposed to the other schools?
Sure, and I think, like, when I look at this place, and a lot of people say, like, why? And obviously the history is great, but for a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, there's a little bit of recency bias where they don't remember the Frozen Fours. They don't remember the CCHA championships the way that I do. And they don't remember Miami the way that I do, and Enrico's heyday the way that it was, and the brotherhood and those things. And I think it's on us, to create awareness of what it used to be, to draw on some of those alumni and the storied past. But I also think it's looking forward to the future and telling them what this place is going to be and what are the things we're going to focus on. And to me, when I look at Miami University, like, there's some great academic schools that also have a hockey program. There are some unbelievable NHL factory hockey programs. There's not a lot that have both. You know, like this to me is the perfect blend of both, where, hey, mom, he's going to get an unbelievable education. This is a first-class institute where they're going to, you know, your son is going to get a great education. But it's also a place where he could come and he could reach his goals athletically. And if the goal is to play in the NHL, if the goal is to play hockey for the next 20 years, play pro hockey, like this is a place that could kind of check both those boxes. And I don't think there's a lot of places that could say that. And again, you look at the campus, you look at the rink, you talk to anybody who's here. The guys that are here on this team, usually coaching change, guys go in the transfer portal. These guys all want to be here. They love this university. There's something special about this place, and I think we could draw on all of that.
How do you translate that to guys who are foreign or from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Northeast? How do you sell that to people who don't know about Miami?
Yeah, and that's it. You're selling a little bit of a dream. And for me right now, I need to make sure that in my tone and when I approach guys, that there is an unwavering, we are going to win. We are going to get there. But we got to face some facts internally, and we need to build trust externally with players, with player advisors, with parents, with youth hockey teams that, listen, it's going to get there. But right now we need you to take a little bit of leap of faith, a little bit of blind trust. And, I'm going to trust you to be the guy that's going to help restore this place. You're going to trust me that the place is going to go in the direction I say. And I think it's like a domino effect. You start getting one, then you get another, and another guy jumps in. Man, something's going on at Miami. What's going on there? They keep getting another high-end guy just went there. Wow, they just won a game on Friday. They beat this team. And that to me is the athletic program here keeps using the word momentum. I think that's the perfect word. We just need to get some momentum. I think that starts with me. That starts with me being out, being present, being face-to-face with coaches, players, selling this program, telling them everything it's about, getting them here on campus, and then obviously getting them to trust us. This is the place, again, that they have to be to reach their goals.
Where does your unwavering belief come from?
Comes from where I come from. I'm extremely fortunate. I was raised the son of a coach in a hardworking, blue-collar family that sacrificed everything. I don't know how they did it, because hockey's not a game where you can just pick up a puck and a stick and go to the park and play. There's equipment, there's travel, it's expensive. How they did it and how they made it happen, the sacrifices they made, they didn't go on vacation, they didn't drive nice cars, they sacrificed so that I could play hockey and eventually have an opportunity like this. So to me, it's got to be bigger than you. It can't just be like, oh, I've got this belief because I have this belief. It's like, I've got this belief because there's a lot of people that have sacrificed a lot for me to be sitting here. Family, coaches I've worked for, coaches that have worked for me, given me their blood, sweat, and tears. Players I've played with, players I've coached, same, that have given me their blood, sweat, and tears and entrusted me in their development. Parents, same. And to me, I take a little bit of all that and my heart's full. The fire has never been, I was telling you this before the interview, the amount of alumni that have reached out, the amount of former players of mine that have reached out, the people that care and really want to see this place get back to where it should be. My fire is going, and it's never been flaming more than it is right now. And again, that will not stop. That's not going to stop if we lose a recruiting battle or if we lose a game. That's going to continue on, and I need to make that infectious.
You bring up your parents and your family for that fire. Is there a coaching style or a person that you've really tried to model your style after?
I mean, again, I think in our profession, the really good coaches, I feel, take a little bit of you might work for a guy and there's something you don't like. I'm not going to do that when I get a chance to be a coach. And I just think a lot of people when they grow up, their goal is to play in the NHL. My goal as a kid was to coach at the highest level. It always was. And again, my dad was a coach. You're around that. I was little kid on the bench with a helmet on, opening the doors for the defensemen. And they were all tapping me on the head. And they were just what I was around. And you want to do that. And that to me was it was just the ultimate goal. So even when I was a young kid, I was thinking, man, I like what this guy does. I like how he interacts with players. I don't like that. I would stay away from that. And that's a good learning lesson. But I also ask a lot of questions. Guys that I know that play in the NHL, guys that I know that play on successful Division I programs, or maybe ones that aren't living up to what they should. And why? What did you like? What didn't you like? What did you see? How did your coach handle that situation? And to me, you just take a little bit of that from all those places and you create your own style. And mine is a unique style. And I told the guys, it's my standard for how I expect them to perform and live is probably going to be the highest standard they've ever been around. They might think I'm insane some days, but what I promised them and what I gave them my word on is, as high as my standard is, you will never meet anybody that's going to support you more through it, that's going to have your back no matter what comes up, never speak negatively about you, never come down on you. I'm not a yeller and screamer. I'm not going to have you on the line skating up and down for punishment. Like, we are going to communicate. We're going to face facts. We're going to face adversity. We're going to talk through it, and I am going to have your back through this. I'm going to push you, but I'm going to be there for you.
One of the hardest parts of your job is personnel management and coming into a team that has returners. But as you said, you need to find a way to get this team better that includes different players. How do you handle that situation where you're dealing with some guys are going to stay and maybe some guys aren't?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ever-flowing situation, because what you're trying to do is you want to evaluate the guys that are already here. Maybe there's a guy that could take a big step. Maybe there's a guy with a different voice that can break out. Maybe there's a guy with a different voice, he was really good because of what went on before, and maybe he's not going to be there. So I need to evaluate that. Some of the fifth-year guys, like, are there some guys that are, hey, this is the last year of this. Do we want a guy to stay here? Hey, this is a guy that we could get more out of and wants to play another year before maybe going on to the real world or playing pro hockey. Then there's, guys that are uncommitted and still available that maybe we could bring in. There's guys in the transfer portal. And I think you've got to look at the guys in the transfer portal and, like, are they transferring for the right reason?
Right.
Or are they transferring because it just was too hard? Or just, because, hey, it didn't work there, so I'm just going to go try somewhere else. But there's also such a thing as maybe it didn't work because maybe that staff overpromised and under-delivered. Maybe you just need a different voice. Maybe we have a bigger opportunity here. So, like I said, that's an ever-flowing thing. And again, my job is to get the right guys in that room. So it's been constant. There's a lot of different angles to it. I think a lot of people could be negative about the current state of college athletics. To me, you either have to find a way to be involved in, manage it, or you're just going to fall behind. That's just the truth of the matter. I mean, you look at a lot of guys that were against it at first, and now they're the heaviest users of the portal. So I just think you've got to be willing to use all the tools at your disposal. You want to be fair to the current players, but you also have a job to make sure you ice the best team and put the best group of guys in that room.
I think hockey is probably the most interesting sport affected by the transfer portal and all this because of juniors hockey, that you're getting guys coming in 2 years older than the rest of collegiate sports are because they're taking the 2 years after high school. From your experience in juniors, what characteristics do you see guys who leave juniors and go on to Division I hockey that makes those players the most successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think if every sport could do it, they would. Think about it from a college athletic perspective. A lot of times the guys are away from home for the first time, for the most part. Do they know how to do their laundry? Do they know how to eat? Do they know how to cook? What are they going to be eating at the cafeteria if they're on their own? Do they know how to handle themselves socially? When now their mom and dad's not having a curfew on them and they're on their own. So I think that's a huge part of it. Just the non-hockey stuff, the social part of these guys have all been away from home. Yeah, they live with billet families and host families, but it's different. It's not mom where you're just throwing stuff on the ground. Like, that comes back to you pretty quickly, and that doesn't fly. It's figuring out, okay, now I am out socially away from mom and dad with some new people. Can I stick by the morals and values that I had growing up, even though I'm out and kind of on my own a little bit? It's an opportunity athletically to get bigger, stronger, be more advanced once you get to that level. Because at the end of the day, like if a college football team could say, hey, get this kid in the weight room for 2 more years and do all the stuff we were going to do here for 2 more years and get him a playing experience, and we could get him ready as a freshman, I think they would all do it. And that's the unique thing about hockey. And for us in our league, it's a 16-team league in the USHL. And so there's a lot of guys that are elite players that have great Division I college hockey. They can't even play in the league. So these guys practicing against the best guys, specific training, playing against the best guys, 62-game schedule, specific to the USHL, they're just going to get better, or they're going to get left behind.
Right.
And if you get the right one of those guys, you feel like there's more of a trust level you could put into it. And don't just treat him as, hey, this is the usual kid away from home, like I said, for the first time, kid that doesn't know how to compete. He doesn't know how to earn it. He's never been through adversity. I just think you just get a grittier athlete. You get a guy that's had some tough times, socially, hockey-wise, school-wise, moving to a new school if they had to. So to me, it makes sense to get guys from that level. And the more you do, usually the more success you have.
What do you think it was that made you stand out, that Miami decided you were the man for the job?
I felt that from my first talk with David and Brad. There's just sometimes you talk with someone and you could just tell you're just aligned, philosophically aligned. energy levels aligned. Like it just, I think we had a 45-minute talk scheduled, and we talked for over an hour and a half, whatever it was. And it just felt like one of these things where, man, like what they're looking for, that's what I do. Like this is what I live. This is what I am. And obviously, vice versa. At the time, you don't know, but the questions they were asking, and you could kind of tell, like, as it goes, what direction they were going in. Like, how would you handle this? What do you think about this? And to me, it was like, man, like, guys, this is the world I live in. This is what I do. This is what I've done. Like, this is what I want to do. Why Miami? Why Miami? This is what I remember it being. And these are the guys I know that played there. And again, I just think philosophically, morally, it was just totally aligned. And obviously the fact that, like I said, I've come into similar situations, not at this level, but similar situations. And to me, leadership is leadership. Whether you're leading a family of young kids, or you're leading a kindergarten class, or you're leading an athletic team, leadership is leadership. And when you've gone through situations like this, like there's scars that build up. Like I've been through it. And there's things, listen, if I could take over Tri-City again, there's things I would do different. If I could take over Youngstown again, there's things, that stops I've had, I would do different and you kind of, like I said, you build to an opportunity like this. And it just felt like the right place at the right time. And obviously from their side, thankfully, is what most importantly, from their side as well.
This will be your first time dealing with the NIL with recruiting. Some schools, especially for hockey, have huge budgets. Other schools have $0 in budget. How do you find a way to stay competitive in that? I know you mentioned selling a dream.
Yep. And believe it or not, at our level, this year we were dealing with the NIL too. We had guys on our team getting NIL money. And that wasn't something we set up. That was various sponsors coming in saying, hey, we want to get this guy wearing our stuff, using our equipment, whatever it might be. Also, I've dealt with it with guys that are getting recruited. So don't forget, all the players I coached are getting wooed by the teams in the NCAA. Like, this is what they're doing. Right. So they're telling me, hey, this team offer this. So you get kind of an idea, okay, like, how's that team using this? That's interesting. They do that. Wow, they have that there. So again, I think that's a piece. You've got to be respectful of it. You got to be aware of it. You got to understand who maybe, listen, based on his family situation, he might need that specific thing. So I think, again, you got to be honest. You got to face it. You've got to talk to donors about it and people that want to support, hey, this is like the world we're living in a little bit. But I also think, like, what I would tell a prospective student athlete is, like, what is the purpose of this for you? And I really want to know, what is the purpose of playing Division I collegiate hockey? Is it to make money? Because if that's it, well, it's just probably might not be the play, and that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad player. But if it's to develop, and if it's to become a man, and if it's to become a leader, and if it's to become a highly employable adult and someone that, has a chance to maximize what they're capable of and play pro hockey and is going to be wanted in an NHL locker room one day, like, this is the place. And I'm going to help you get there. And it's going to be far bigger than that stuff, the short-term stuff. Let's set you up for the long term. Let's not worry about the next 2 years or 3 years. Let's set you up for the next 60 years of your life based on the tools, the habits, the detail that we implement, not just hockey-wise, but just in the way you live your life, how you interact with people. What type of man are you? What type of leader are you going to be? What type of father are you going to be one day? Those are the things that I want to be able to sell here.
Going back to the beginning of our conversation, 15 years since those Frozen Four runs. It's been 5 years since the program's won 10 games. How long is it going to take to get this program back to the NCAA tournament?
Listen, if there was a magic wand that I could wave and get us there immediately, there would be. There's no easy way. If you want to do something special and something great, there's not like a shortcut or like a cut around. Like, there's just not. And to me, like, that stuff is so far, and not that I'm not fully respectful to it, because I am. And there's got to be a plan. There's got to be a plan recruiting wise. Hey, if we lose this guy and this happens next year, we got to know who the next guy up is. There has to be that. But, like, to me, you have to be obsessed with the right now. Like, I just think you have to be. Tomorrow's got to seem so far away that you can't even imagine it. And yesterday and what happened, those results in the past, got to be like the distant past. And I think when you just attack the days, and that's my side on the recruiting side, in building this program and selling this program side, like, I need to maximize every day. I need to make sure that I'm making as many calls, telling as many people, get in my face and in front of as many young hockey players, hockey coaches, hockey parents, selling this dream as possible. But I also need to make sure that the guys that are sitting there right now, if you really want to do what you say you want to do, none of these guys want to walk around here and be a team that finished in last place. They don't. They want to win. They want to leave this place as winners. They want to be the group of guys that gets this thing going back in the right direction. No different than they did last year. But, like, if you want to do it, we just probably have to act different. We got to have a different standard. Like, and that's going to be the fun part. So to me, it's like, you have a workout tomorrow. What is that workout going to be like? Because if that workout is as though it was the NCAA Frozen Four championship game and you're at that intensity level, you got better today. You might have passed one of your opponents today. Because that's what's going to happen. Like, it's going to be up and down, but like, if we could, be on that level here with the players, with their workouts, with their training, and then, like I said, on the staff side, making sure that we're selling that and we're pushing the envelope. We're trying to get better. We're trying to improve sports science. We're trying to improve our play on the ice. We're trying to get more knowledge from guys that have done it and had success at this level, draw on the experiences of guys that have been here before us. Like, I just think that that's got to be the mentality, and it's got to stay that way no matter what the results are. It's got to stay that way if we lose a game. It's got to stay that way if we do get to that ultimate level, because you want to keep pushing. You need to keep pushing forward, and that to me is like, that's the only way there could be forward momentum.
What is it you're most excited about?
The opportunity. Again, the journey is always the best part. It's never, you talk to anyone who's won a championship or won a Stanley Cup or what, it's never like, oh, the last game or lifting the, it's never that. It's the relationships. It's the journey. It's the build. It's the contentious situations. It's that game you guys lost and we had a heart-to-heart talk afterwards and we aired out some stuff. Those are the things you remember. And like, I cherish those things. And the longer I do this, the more I realize how important it is. And the longer I do this, the more you talk to former players. And the things they remember aren't maybe things you remember. And it's like, they tell you, like, Coach, I remember when this happened. Do you remember this conversation we had, or me and this guy had? And you're like, man, that's pretty cool that's what they remember. And it wasn't the night they had a hat trick or the night they had a shutout. Like, it's those relationships and those things that, like, I love the build. And I love going in 2 feet head first, like in the build and the relationships and the growth and the pushing and the uncomfortableness and like the grind. Like, I love that, and I'm excited for it.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I mean, my big thing is there's so many people that love this program, supporters of this program, people that have bled for that jersey, former coaches, former players. I just want to make it a place where they can be proud of it. Make it a place where they can be proud of what these guys are doing, how they're living, what they're like in the classroom, what they're like on the campus, what they're like on the ice. And I want to continue to do that. And listen, we need help. And a lot of people have called today, like, we want to help, and I'm going to take you up on it. So, if there's something people need from me, they're always going to get a yes. If there's something I can draw from them, I'm all ears, and I want to do that as well.